Dappled sunlight filters through a lush canopy of trees overhead. Small birds darting about chasing insects in the quiet rhythm of the bush. If you're lucky, you may find this place in another mood entirely, when the cool mist drifts between towering black ash and delicate coral ferns. A chain of cascades slips through a dimly lit gorge dotted with velvety, moss-covered stones, before leaping into the vast wilds of Jamison Valley. This is the Den Fenella track, an enchanting pocket of Wentworth Falls, named in 1892 by Captain James Murray, the same man who gave us the National Pass, and whose eye for landscape was shaped far beyond these mountains. Murray named this place for a memory of the Den of Fenella near his birthplace of St Cyrus in Scotland, where water plunges through a steep, fern-filled ravine, not unlike this one. But the name carries more than resemblance. It carries a story, one steeped in folklore and mystery. And to understand it, we need to take our imagination far from these sandstone cliffs and into the mists of medieval Scotland. Because this idyllic gully in the Blue Mountains echoes with the tale of a woman who brought down a king. This is the tale of Lady Finella, the king killer. Born in the year 950 to the Earl of Angus, Lady Finella was raised in the castle of Kincardine amidst the privileges of nobility. She married the Mortimer, or Earl, of the province of the Manse in the kingdom of Alba, a marriage that elevated her status significantly. At the time, the throne was held by King Kenneth II, who took power in 971. A ruler determined to refine his countrymen, impose order across the kingdom, and tame the rebels. Kenneth wasn't a lenient man. Tales suggest he had 30 thieves hanged just to set an example. And yet, despite his severity, a friendship formed between the king and Finella, one forged at lavish gatherings, feasts and hunting expeditions. By then, Finella had a son named Cruthland, a boy born into a family of high status and nobility. Being the only son, he had a sense of entitlement about him, a bit of a brat, you could say. At any opportunity, the teenager was indulging in food and wine, becoming obnoxious and causing trouble. All but his mother Finella began to despise him. This was a young man that, with his mates, raided properties and stole from commoners of the kingdom, even from his own grandfather's castle. Prime examples of the rebels the king wanted to tame. The Earl of Angus, Finella's father, had enough of Cruthland's behaviour and had words with the king about it. The king would have nothing of this behaviour, and gave Cruthland 2 weeks to appear at Scone to answer for the torment and unruly behaviour he inflicted upon the people of Alba. Cruthland knew he was in trouble. He ignored the order of the king and took off to the highlands with his mates. Pursued by the king's men, including Kenneth's own son, Malcolm, Cruthland was captured. Stories vary on what happened next. Some say he was executed where he stood. Others claim he was taken to the castle of Dunsinane and put to death there. Either way, the result was the same. Finella's only son was gone, and she was devastated. Though grief has a way of turning, it hardened into something far more dangerous. Rage. A quiet, calculated resolve for revenge. At the same time, the kingdom itself stood on uncertain ground. Succession in Alba didn't follow simple inheritance. A king's successor was chosen from the male descendants of previous kings by clan chiefs and noblemen, often while the current ruler still lived. It was a system ripe for rivalry, and after Cruthrin was killed, only two contenders were standing for the throne. Malcolm, the young son of King Kenneth II, and Constantine, the older and more experienced king's cousin. In most people's eyes, it was Malcolm that would inherit the throne. Those forming the final decision would be stupid to suggest anyone but the king's son. If Constantine were to become king, one thing needed to happen. King Kenneth II had to fall, as it was believed he was trying to amend the rules of succession so that only his direct bloodline could take the throne. Constantine knew there was one person that wanted the king dead. Finella. The two conspired, but for it to work, Finella had to play her part well. She kept up appearances, assuring Kenneth she accepted her son's fate, that justice had been served. The trust between them remained intact. Finella invited the king to join her on a hunting trip down on her property. She greeted him with the same warmth she did on previous meetings, saying they'd be staying in a small lodge. During their travels, Finella told him of rumours. Whispers of betrayal and of his own family conspiring to kill him, promising to explain more once they reached her lodge. When they arrived, Finella offered to show him something first, a statue made in his honour. Accounts differ in their detail. Some say it was gold, others bronze. Some say it depicted a boy, others a king. But most agree on one thing. It was adorned with something valuable, a ring or an apple studded with jewels. A gift, she told him, urging the king to take it off the statue. And with complete trust, he did. The moment the object was removed, the trap was sprung. Hidden mechanisms released a volley of darts, small, precise and deadly. The king was struck down where he stood. Finella had her revenge. It wasn't long before the king's guard checked on him at the lodge, discovering his body, with Finella nowhere to be seen. The king's son Malcolm was informed of the tragedy, and a search party was formed to capture the prime suspect. Finella was on the run, but she was eventually found by Malcolm and his men by a deep-wooded gorge near the coast. With no escape, she made her final choice, leaping to her death in that gorge now known as the Den of Fenella. Here in the Blue Mountains, that same name lingers, given to this place by James Murray, a man that would have undoubtedly known this ancient tale. As for the track itself, it's an easy walk, just 1 kilometre return. There are plenty of stairs, but the reward is the journey. Fern-filled gullies, beautiful cascades, and at the end, a lookout over the valley. Spectacular on a good day, clouded and moody on another. Whether the story tied to the name of this place is truth, legend, or something in between, it leaves an impression that lingers long after you've gone.